Awesome. So, had a very interesting conversation with somebody. Wanted to take a few minutes and talk about it. The subject was being absent as a parent. Now, this is something that I've worried about my whole life, basically, my whole adult life, I should say. More so than anything, one of the things I remember when I first became an adult, getting advice from somebody who was an over the road truck driver. When I first got married, I had one daughter at the time. And one of the things that stuck with me out of all life lessons was how important it was to be there and to be present in the upbringing of children. I specifically remember him saying something that never left me. He said, I was an over the road truck driver. When I left home, I would leave home 2, 3 months at a time. You come home, your wife has a boyfriend, your kids don't know who you are. And to me, that was uh, that was the beginning of the understanding to what it means to be present. You see, I talk to a lot of these guys, and it doesn't matter if you're an over-the-road truck driver. It doesn't matter if you're an electrician who works 56, no, I'm gonna say 50, I'm gonna say 60, 70, sometimes 80 hours a week, business person who has to put that amount of time into their business. Whatever you're doing is requiring all of your time, you have to sacrifice something else. I don't think a lot of people think about that. I don't think a lot of people understand the severity of some of the consequences that come later when it comes to wanting to live a lifestyle where you grind out and grind to get the things that you have. I know some very successful people who have terrible relationships with the people they grinded for in the first place. Talking about their children, talking about their spouse, brothers and sisters, friends. Now, brothers and sisters, I get. Friends, I get. You're not supposed to stay with these people all of the time. You can love them from a distance. They can call you when they need to talk to you. That's fine. It's the children and the spouse that you run into problems with. For the most part, I've seen it personally where when it comes to truck driving, I have an intimate knowledge of that situation. People can't understand. Hey, I paid for everything. Anything they needed, I made sure they had it. I paid for all of the Christmases. I paid for all of the birthdays. I paid for all of the little events, all of the clothes, all of the food. I paid for all of that, and they don't appreciate none of it. And I'm here to say, absolutely, because children, especially, don't care what you paid for. They care about you being present. Now, you can take that same mentality and apply that to anything. I remember seeing on a program a long time ago, a guy said, yeah, it's nice that we have this nice east and west wing to this house, but I never got to see my father. Or it reminds me of that song, Cat in the Cradle with Silver Spoon. You know, the father never had time for the child, and then when the child became older, they never had time for the father. And to me, that's one of the main lessons that I've learned in this life when it comes to time and what's actually worth it. Is that money more worth it than the experience of being a parent? So I was blessed to say that I learned that lesson. I was one of those people who sacrificed time for a little bit, but then end up sacrificing money to have more time with the people that I care about. I got a chance to experience everything, all of the birthdays, all of the births, all of the Christmases, doctor's appointments. I did all of that stuff. Um, and I have a good relationship with all of my children today. And I would suggest to anybody that you take those things into consideration when you're worried about, the things you want to achieve and being ambitious and getting to the next level of whatever you're trying to accomplish. That whole work-life balance thing is a very real thing. People don't realize it. And then it goes to another subject real quick before I get off of that. Criminals. You know, a lot of folks don't comprehend what it means to have all of your time stolen away from you. But, it's hard to explain to your children why you weren't there. Now, some people might say, hey, well, I got in trouble with the law. I was locked up for a long time. That's why I wasn't there. But I personally, this is a thing that's affected my family. Know people who did a lot of time and their children, they have father and mother issues, I should say. There's no excuses for why you weren't there for children. You know, and then you can't turn them against the other parent and say, well, that parent wasn't they didn't uphold my name, they didn't they only had negative things to say about me. The bottom line is they only care about results and who was there. So that's why I made it my business to also be one of the people who was showing up to everything and doing everything, and doctor's appointments, stuff like that. I didn't want it to just be mom. But yeah, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to how present are you in that person's life. And if it also means that you have a good relationship later on in life. Another family member of mine that I was thinking of, the relationship didn't work out with him and the child's mother. This is two different mothers, matter of fact, but he still had a great relationship with both of his kids, because even though they went, they went their separate ways, and they even had the government come in between their situations, whether it was child support. It was never an excuse where, well, your mom wouldn't let me see you. He was still very much present in both of their lives, and that was a prime example for me on how there's no excuses when it comes to your children. And even if you don't like the mother, even if you don't agree with the mother, you still have to show up for your kids. You have just as many rights as they have. Vice versa. Sometimes it's the mom in certain situations, but you can't use it as a crutch. You can't use it as an excuse. You still have to be there. They don't care what you pay for. All of that is irrelevant. They don't care how much it costs. You should know this. Children especially don't care how much things cost. Results. That's it. Were you there? Do I remember seeing you? Did you make it to this? Otherwise, what you have is a lot of grown people with undiagnosed mom and dad issues. I see that a lot also. It was just something that came across my mind. I think I'll talk to somebody else in a similar situation a little bit later on a longer platform. Because I do know some folks who personally can't understand why the relationship with their children is as bad as it is, since they, made sure that they provided. And, we'll be able to go back and forth about some of those things. But that was just what I was thinking.